Welcome, everybody, to the Life, Death, and Happiness podcast. This is all about real talks with real people from all around the globe. In each episode, I will sit down and talk with a friend about how it is to live with an incurable disease or maybe even a terminal illness. And let me get this straight while we're at it. This is all about celebrating life. My name is Daniel Kolb, and I'm your host. Welcome everybody to the next episode of Life, Death, and Happiness. And with me today, I have my good friend from Chicago, Jack. And Jack, can you say hi to people and tell a little about who you are?
Well, hello, good people. This is Jack. I am 20 years old, and I have Fanconi Anemia, and I've had a bone marrow transplant about 16 years ago, and lived my life to the fullest today.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell me a little about, you got diagnosed in an early age, I can tell, when so many years since you have the BMT, the bone marrow transplantation. But how was it for you to grow up with this condition?
Yes, well, I was diagnosed at about 2 or 3 and had the transplant at 3. So I grew up knowing that I had FA. I knew of it anyways. I didn't know the implications of it all. You know, as I grew older,
Mm-hmm.
I started to learn more about the condition and what it implies, and started to teach myself in a way of, this is what I got to do. This is the way it is,
Mm-hmm.
and I just need to live with it because I didn't know a life before FA in a way.
Yes,
So
it's been there your whole life with you, yeah.
Right, so I knew that my body was wonky my whole life. And I knew that I needed to make sure that it stayed alive.
Okay, I'm kind of curious because I don't remember, to be honest. It's kind of, I'm a little embarrassed by that. We've met in real life, but I can't remember because you have a short stature just like I have. We are not very tall. And most, I actually don't think we have mentioned that in the podcast when we talk to other people with Fanconi Anemia, but it's very normal that we are small. We're not like dwarf small, but we are small. Smaller than usual, with a few exceptions. I mean, we have a few FAs who's normal height, but it's something that is common with a lot of us. And also, a lot of people have problems with their thumbs. I haven't got any problems with that. Is it something you have, or you do have? Okay, yeah. But
Most FA, just to follow up on that real quick, most FA people have lost a thumb or were born without a thumb, so they have 4 fingers on both their hands. I was actually born with an extra thumb.
You were born with an extra thumb?
That's
Okay.
right. So I was born with an extra thumb that was kind of sticking out from the side, just kind of hanging there. Didn't really have a function.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cut off surgically, of course, but they cut it off when I was about 2.
Okay, yeah.
My parents made that decision because they didn't want me growing up with an extra thumb, and then I turned out to be a baseball player, throwing some weird curveballs.
Oh, I see possibilities here.
I know. I have to cut a hole in all of my gloves in order to get the extra thumb in, right?
Yeah. And you live in Chicago, so that would be expensive because it's so cold in the wintertime.
Yes. Especially the kind of heavy-duty gloves you got to get in Chicago.
I'm kind of curious because when you grew up with Fanconi anemia, was it something you thought about a lot after the bone marrow transplantation, or was there a time in your life when you were a kid where you were actually able to be like everybody else?
I think I was, well, like everybody else, maybe not so much, because I was transplanted at 3.
Mm-hmm.
I was already shorter than other kids my age. So I started kindergarten
Mm-hmm.
as this smaller than average
Mm-hmm.
kid. And there were times when it wasn't so easy, but there were always people who were there to support me and my friend, you know.
Now that is so important, actually, because it's not something we mention a lot when we talk about having Fanconi anemia. I mean, we're in that situation. If it doesn't kill you, it's not really worth caring about. I mean, but still, it matters to a lot of us. I mean,
Well,
when I got older and I started to go to parties and I want to go into discos and stuff like that, I can't count how many times people have been like, "Ha ha, what is that dwarf doing here?" and shitty stuff like that. And that hurt a lot when you're like insecure, 18 years old, and you actually try to be normal. I don't know if you've had any of those experiences.
yeah, I mean, I've definitely had, I can share plenty of stories. One in particular comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share in a sec. But uh, as far as growing up feeling quote unquote normal, I
Mm-hmm.
think I always knew there was something different about me.
Yeah.
Wasn't always sure because I was so young.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't always sure what that was, and as time went on, I learned more and more about it. But when I didn't quite know what was going on at 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7, I kind of felt quote unquote normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like other kids, because I didn't quite know what FA was, but I, I mean, I know of it now, and
Mm-hmm.
I still get faced with social discrimination a lot. Especially now that I'm 20 years old, but I have the body of a 12-year-old,
Yeah.
and I people have the mind of a 30, 40, 50-year-old or older.
Yeah, yeah. I talked to some of the other Fanconi anemia patients in this podcast about that. That when you have been through like a bone marrow transplantation or a lot of the stuff you go through, it automatically makes you feel older, or at least you have more life experience than most people your age. You have to catch up on your condition and everything surrounding it. So it's more it feels like you're more grown up than most other people. And in your case, also where you talk about almost having a body like you're 12 years old, I can see that dilemma and some reactions to that when you're out among other people.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you one story about that.
Mm-hmm.
That when I turned 18, I signed myself up for online dating
Mm-hmm.
in hopes that I could get a date to the prom, to see the
Mm-hmm.
prom. And so I signed up on a couple of different sites, and most of those sites rejected my profile and photos,
Mm-hmm.
mainly the photos, because they thought that the photos depicted that of a child.
Ah.
Yeah. And so they deleted my profiles, deleted my pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of them, I called him up and said, look, I'm not a kid. Your auto detection systems think that I am. Can you approve my profile? All right. So they finally went in the back systems and manually approved my profile and my photos. But even then, even when on this one site the profiles and photos were approved,
Mm-hmm.
I still wasn't taken seriously by anybody on there.
Mm.
Because of my looks, because I look young.
Yeah, I get that because I mean it's not normal in Western society for a man to be small. It's looked down upon.
It is.
And I mean, I can't remember who I talked to the other day regarding it. I think it was actually another Fanconi anemia patient from Denmark. We talked about it, a young boy, and we talked about it because it's like the first thing he told me that he saw this study about what women want in a man, and the first thing that, the most mentioned thing was he has to be tall. I mean, okay, shit, not much to do here. I mean, we can't change that. And maybe I have to say this straight out to people who listen to this. Be nice to people who is exceptionally small or tall or whatever it is. I mean, it's not something people choose for themselves. I mean, you can discriminate me if I act like an asshole. Be free to do that. Call me an asshole. I mean, if I'm rude, tell me to my face if I'm rude. But don't point fingers at me or anybody else who have some kind of... I mean, I don't even see it as a disability. I'm just not tall. I mean, I'm just not average height.
I second that, and it's not something that's usually covered in any media or in any documentaries or anything. I once watched a documentary, forgot what it was called, but it was about how men are brought up and how they are viewed among society.
Mhm.
And they were your average taller type men, and these big buff guys, and
Mhm.
or not. They were, but they never mentioned. They did mention height. They mentioned that kind of thing, but
Mhm.
it was mostly related to dwarfism.
Okay, yeah.
There were no mentions of, well, what if a guy just has a body that's proportionate to itself? Well, somewhat. uh, but relatively proportionate and isn't under 4'5", but is smaller. It's never covered. It's not seen as a possibility.
Mm.
Have you ever seen, you go to your department stores, you see men's sizes. They started small, right? They started small. They go up into a 3XL.
Mhm.
And smalls are way too big on me, first of all. So I have to go to the children's section in order to do that. That's a whole other story. Anyways, the women's sizes in department stores, they start at extra small. They go up until maybe an XL, and even that is rare to see.
Yeah, I know a few very tall women who have the same problem. They can't go in and buy clothes anywhere. They have to order it online at special stores and stuff like that. I mean, I know they want to sell the clothes. I know that. And they can't have they can't always have like XX small to men because it won't sell very well. We're not many. But
That's small.
But it just feels like I don't want to go into a kids department to buy clothes. Now the big difference, I think we are approximately the same height as far as I remember. But I have a more fatty body type. But I used to work out a lot when I was younger. I haven't done that for many years, but I used that, and so I can wear a small or medium, but then again the US sizes are much bigger than the European sizes, so maybe that also explains it. But just to put it in perspective, in centimeter, I'm 150. It depends on where I look, if it's my passport, but something between 153 and 157, depending on what we look at, centimeters we're talking about. So it's not like... So yeah, we are not tall. But... So it was, I just wanted to touch on that topic because I haven't talked to anybody else about that. Because it's not something that change your life. It's not something I think about every day, but it's just something you have to deal with. It is a kind of discrimination that you often meet out in society.
It's institutionalized social discrimination, but it does have its benefits. Children's sizes, just saying, can be much cheaper than adult sizes. So great.
Yeah, you have to look on the bright side. Also, when I was young, I used to make music. And when I started to try to get my name out, people always remembered me. They didn't remember the people I was together with, but they remembered that small guy. So they actually, it was very easy for me to actually get my name out to begin with. Because they were like, yeah, I remember that small dude. Can't remember his name, but I just remember he was very small. It's like, okay, you actually remember me. Then we can take it from here.
I can definitely relate to that. I am often recognized for my size, and they say, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "I'm great. How are you?" I have no idea who they are, though.
But
it helps. Now, when I worked in customer service, it definitely helped. For people to come back and say, "Hey, I remember you. Don't quite remember your name, but I remember you. I came back for you." All right, great.
Yeah, maybe that is also a good advice to some of the younger people who have Fanconi Anemia who is small, but also people who have dwarfism or any other thing that, reason to be small. No matter why you're small, I mean, try to use it to your advantage. I mean, it's easy to go pick on yourself and be like, oh, I'm not well because I'm small. I can't live up to all that blah, blah about men have to be so tall and blah, blah. But try to turn it around instead. Use it to your benefit because you're easily recognizable. So use it for something positive. Don't go do a robbery because you will never be able to hide afterwards. I mean, so do something smart with it. For people will recognize you definitely.
Yep, and remember, if people think you're too small, try living with a mosquito. That'll make a difference.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to see it. But I'm kind of curious here. So your life up until now. We'll talk a little about where you're at in your life right now. But when you started at school and you talked about you always had some good friends who's was part of your life and made it easier. How much contact did you have with the Fanconi Anemia world? Were you going to a lot of appointments even after the BMT and all that stuff? How did you manage to balance that with school life?
So I didn't actually have an emotion in the FA community until about 13 years old. And so my parents took me to, they went to Camp Sunshine when I was 2, though. Yeah, with me when I was 2 or 3. But of course, I was 3 years old, so I don't remember it.
Makes sense.
And then in 2012, we had a FA family dinner or meet and greet here in Chicago. And that's where I met a couple of other families in the nearby area. And that was really the first time I had met anybody with FA when I was 13 years old. And then that was just for one night. And I went the next 5 years not really talking. I mean, I kept in touch here or there. There were people I kept in touch with, but I never saw anybody in person. Or, I wasn't in touch with that community because I didn't really know. Excuse me, didn't really know that it existed. Right.
Do you think that was a good or a bad thing, actually?
Well, it's all relative, good and bad. I think it's a good thing that by the time I did get immersed in the community, I felt overjoyed and welcomed, and it was such an incredible experience. But I wish I had been more connected with these people longer before. I suppose now that I think about it, I did know that there was a community of FA people, but I didn't know how big it was because I knew about Camp Sunshine, and I saw names in the directory of so few people. There's only about 3,000 of us in the world, by the way.
Yeah, we talked about it in an earlier episode. None of us really knew how many we are because it's so disconnected. I mean, we know about the Western world, but we don't really have big counts of how it is in Asia and Africa. But I take your word for it if it's around 3,000. I can't remember.
I think it's a little over 3,000, but that's it in the world. And then I turned 18, got a letter getting an invite for a FA adult meeting in Atlanta. So I figured, all right, I'm 18. I know quite a bit about FA now. I want to meet some of these people, So I flew down there. Not my first trip on a plane, because I've flown many, many times before. It's a different story, but to fly down there on my own, to be my own advocate in a way. And
was your first meeting in Atlanta?
Yeah, it was in Atlanta, because
Yeah.
that's the first time I turned 18, and I couldn't come to those adult meetings beforehand.
Oh yeah, so it's already 2 years ago. Yeah, time flies by. Yeah, because in the third episode I talked to Mary Beth, and that was also her first meeting within the FA community, like that.
That was the second time I had met anybody with FA, and that was 40 other people.
It's very overwhelming.
Yes, 40 adults with FA, and it was very overwhelming, very emotional, but very, very welcoming and supportive and incredible. I'm so thankful to know all these amazing, incredible people, because we need to have each other's backs. And that's a life lesson for all of us, I think, is to have each other's backs, no matter who you are, no matter what community you belong to be a part of something bigger than yourself, to have support in no matter what you do. It's one of the best things that we can do as long as we're alive.
Yeah, I can't argue about that. I totally feel you regarding that. Also because I think a lot of us grow up feeling kind of alone. Maybe it's hard to explain to people who don't have Fanconi Anemia or some other stem I can't talk. Another rare disorder. So maybe it's difficult to understand. But when you grow up and you feel like you're either all alone, there's nobody else with this disease around you, or you maybe only know a few people, you feel much like the black sheep. You feel like you're on your own planet. People can't relate to what you're going through. So for a lot of us, it's very overwhelming, but in a good sense, to meet other people for the first time with the same disorder, because it's so strange to always have, like, I talked a lot to some of the others about that. You're almost living two lives as soon as you get to know somebody else with Fanconi Anemia. You have a lot of things in common with these people, but you can't really talk about it because nobody else outside understands what it is to go through a bone marrow transplantation, what it is to live with the fear for the next checkup every time, how it is to go through having these biopsies and stuff like that. It's very hard to explain to other people.
I mean, I do, when I can, I do explain it to people as best as I can, and try to get them to understand what I've gone through and what these people go through to get to where they are today. And most of them, most of the true friends, the very close friends that I've told, are very supportive and understand from that level that they can understand.
Yeah, at least they're trying, and that's important too. And we will talk a little about that later, about how it is for relatives and everybody around us.
I try to be very open about that and about my condition, because otherwise they're just going to guess. They take a look at me, they see this 12-year-old, unless I tell them, hey, Jack, I'm 20 years old. But they take a look at me and they start guessing. Is he disabled? Is he a child? not quite sure. He's very mature. Not quite sure what to make of this guy. But then to get to know me, and I tell them my story, and they get it in a way, again, as best way as they can. And it starts to click, and they start to have a more profound appreciation, I think, for the kinds of things that we go through and the kind of community that we're lucky yet not so lucky to be a part of. You know?
So in your experience, actually, it helps a lot to talk about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It helps not only me to it helps me, but it also helps the people that I'm talking with, so that they better understand where I'm coming from and why I live the way that I do, why I am the way that I am. Because it's a big part of who I am. It doesn't define who I am. FA certainly doesn't define me, but it is an important backstory for me to understand why I am the way that I am. Because without FA, I don't think I would be the same person at all. I wouldn't have the same outlook on life, and I'd be totally different.
Yeah, it's like a gift within this curse. I mean, you do get to know yourself a lot better when you're dealing with something like Fanconi anemia. So it also have some positive side effects, whatever you call it. I mean, you wouldn't be you without the things you've been through. And the same goes for me, and like everybody else, it's the same. So we just have a different life experience than many other people. So instead of like being insecure about it, oh, but can I really function like socially with other people and stuff like that? I would say to people, forget about that part. Just, as you mentioned, use it as your background story. I mean, you can't hide that you're different. So you might as well explain it to people and try to make them understand. And if somebody don't want to get that, if somebody like feel like, okay, I have to keep a distance to him because of this, that's their choice, and they're probably not worth spending time with anyway. I mean, you give people a chance to relate to you.
I agree, and that goes for anybody, even no matter who you are, no matter what you have and don't have. We're all different, and that's part of what makes us special. And if there are people that don't understand that or don't want to understand that, then those aren't the people for you. You got to find your people. You got to find where you kind of fit in, and that takes quote unquote fit in. Then that can take a lifetime.
And it can, and that goes for everybody, as you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, our circumstances are different, but I mean, we are still going through the same things in life. I mean, we're still going. I mean, we are also teenagers like everybody else, and have to deal with those emotions and all that stuff. Like, so in a lot of ways, we're not that different. We just have this extra layer.
That's right. It really comes down to understanding each other and to kind of empathize with each other. Understand that everybody is going through something, even if you can't tell what that is. And for us, or at least for me, you can tell that I have a story. You can tell that we all have stories. But there are a lot of people, everybody has a story, but there are a lot of people whose stories you can't quite tell right away. And so we tend not to ask about them, but we all have them. And one of the keys to life, I think, would be to understand and recognize that we all have our stories, we all have our challenges, and we need to be able to communicate those challenges and to communicate those stories, because stories are part of the stories, not only of our individual lives, but story of humanity, story of living in a society, living in this culture, living in this world in 2019 as it is today.
I agree with that, because it's not like, and that is also kind of some of the purpose with this podcast. Of course, I want to tell people how it is to live with a chronic disease or a terminal illness, but because of course there are some special circumstances for us, but it's also to show that our problems is not. I mean, everybody has something to deal with. I have Fanconi Anemia, but I had a good childhood. I come from a loving family. My parents did love me, and they did everything they could to give me a good life. I mean, some other people, they don't have to deal with Fanconi Anemia, but maybe they're going through a lot of poverty when they grow up, or they have parents who drink a lot, or whatever the case is, or they're on, like, they lose their job, they lose their home, they have to deal with that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody has their own backstory, and it's difficult to tell when you look at people. I mean, and I hope that when we talk about the positive things that we also experience with Fanconi anemia, when you have cancer, when you have to deal with something like that, I mean, I hope it also can inspire other people, because in reality, it's the same for all of us. We want to have a good life. We want to feel joy. We want to meet other nice people. Hopefully, fall in love someday. Maybe have kids. Maybe have a good career. Maybe a little bit of both. But I mean, it doesn't matter if you live in a small town outside Nairobi in Kenya, in Africa, or you live in Chicago, or you live in Denmark, or you live in Iraq, or whatever. Most people just want to find happiness and be able to find some peace within themselves, and be surrounded with nice people.
And that happiness can only be defined on an individual level. It can only be defined by you, by your own self, because everybody's going to have various, whether they're drastic differences or not, various definitions of what it means to be happy. And you just gotta find what makes you happy and run with it and shoot stars, you know.
So I have to ask you now. I have been reading a lot up on Facebook these days. You're doing very good right now. A lot of good things have happened to you. And I would like you to tell a little about it, because I think maybe that can be an inspiration to others.
Absolutely. So I just graduated from Oakton Community College in Springs, Illinois. And I graduated with my associate's degree actually just the other nights.
Yeah.
And excuse me. During my time there, I was elected by my student body to be the college's student trustee on the college's board of trustees. So I sat there on the board as a representative of the students for a year and traveled to local and out-of-state conferences throughout the U.S., and it's been a transformative experience. I've met so many amazing people and people that support me no matter what, and they accept me. You know, I was the editor-in-chief of my student newspaper, an officer of our honor society chapter, and you know, things escalated from there in a positive manner. You know, I won several awards and got many scholarships along the way, and it exploded. You know, but I think it all started with accepting myself so that others can accept you. Because I accepted FA and I accepted this is who I am, this is the way it's going to be. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to tell others to do the same. I'm going to tell others, show others who I am. So that's what I did. So I So I got out there. I even told my story to my college community. I reached out to our STEM department and said, look, this is my story. Can I teach students and faculty about FA and about my story, about what it's like to live with my condition? So that's what I did. I set it up. I spoke for about 45 minutes plus Q&A afterwards to 30 some people, and spoke at many other events as well, about FA and about my condition, and uh, it, things just seemed to escalate. It was amazing what was possible when a community accepts and supports you.
And
And
I love that part of you, because when I met you a couple of years ago, uh, we started talking, and I think it's very obvious regarding you and many of the rest of us with FA that this kind of insecurity in deep down inside us, because we know we are different, but you have managed to get control of it and actually get out of the bubble. And I mean, to get elected like you have been here, it takes for other people to feel confident in you. I mean, so you have really been out there talking about your situation, talking to people, but on many levels, because they respect you for how smart you are and what you bring to the table. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's not like because, okay, we feel sad for him. You've actually gone out and kicked in some doors just being yourself. Man, doesn't that feel good?
that's right. People accepted me and accept me for who I am and not just because of my size.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I held on to those insecurities, I would have been maybe still respected, but for my size,
Mm.
for the story. I mean, I could tell the story and not tell the story, but I wouldn't be this, I don't want to say it, but this big a deal
I
if I
get what you're
didn't,
saying.
if I didn't tell my story, if I didn't share with people what it took to get to this place in my
Mm.
life.
But I like that you're saying that, because why shouldn't you be proud of what you accomplished?
That's right.
You didn't get this by luck. You earned it. I mean, and there's nothing wrong in saying that. No matter what you have been through, no matter what, it doesn't matter, because you took control and you made sure that you got yourself into a position where this was possible. You made some good choices.
That's right. And part of that reasoning for why I chose to go down this path was because I knew I want to be remembered when I go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when, none of us know when our time on this earth is going to end. And I want to be able to leave my legacy behind. I want to leave my lasting contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that all starts with today. It all starts with what we do today, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. It's one of the things that we learn in this community, especially, is that we've lost friends along the way, and it can be hard. But we know that they made an impact in our community and in the lives of their families and friends. And that's one of the most important lessons that I tell people, is that that the greatest impact you can make on this planet is the impact that you have on others and future generations.
Mm-hmm.
So that includes the impact that you can make today, right now,
Mm-hmm.
and the lasting legacy that you can create for future generations. So that if today was your last day, that you left something behind, that you were in the memories and will stay in the memories and be honored and recognized by other people when you go, and that what you do will be picked up by other people, that they will continue with your legacy.
Mm.
That's part of why I did that, did what I did, because I knew any day could be my last, because some days my body feels great and I'm up and running and energetic and out and doing things, but there are other days when the body feels like it's done.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. Yeah. But also, that's also a thing I want to talk about, because the name of this is Life, Death, and Happiness. Because we have to deal with maybe not losing friends, but we have to deal with the thought of that we probably have to leave before we want to. And for a lot of us, I think it's a difficult topic. As I know I've been talking more and more about it because of the podcast. I've been talking to many people now regarding it. But how do you feel about this, about death? It's a difficult topic, I know.
It is a difficult topic, and the way that I would talk about it is, personally anyways, that my time will come when it comes. I know that I will have done everything that I could as long as I was alive.
So you use it as a motivation because you know that the ghost is out there, so you use it as a motivation. Is that correct?
That's right, because all of us have that expiration date. All of us. None of us are immortal, and I honestly don't think we should be immortal. I think that part of what makes us human is what happens when we go, what happens when we pass. Life continues. Life continues to thrive. Our society will continue to thrive. And we just got to make the most of the life that we've been given. And as long as we do that in our own ways, however we choose to define that, then we would know, and others would know, that we lived the life that we wanted to live.
I think it's a good way to look at it, because it can often be almost so depressing that it's holding people back from actually doing what they want to do, because they keep having this fear inside. But also believe that letting that fear take control of you would not lead to anything positive. I mean, as you mentioned, you have had a lot of success these days, but you can't have that if you're also walking around fearing all the time what might happen. I mean, you said it earlier, you don't let Fanconi Anemia define you.
That's right.
So I think that's important for people. But also, now we have talked about that, I will jump straight into the best part: happiness. What do you do to not to stay happy, but what do you enjoy doing? What things in your life makes you tick? What keeps you going, and what makes you be like, yeah, this is cool?
People.
People.
That's
Yeah.
the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Finding the right people and talking to them and hanging out with them. That makes me happy. Playing the ukulele makes me happy on my free time.
Okay, I didn't know you play.
Oh yeah, I just started a couple months ago. Got it for Christmas.
Yeah.
Great. But one of the first questions you asked was, how do I stay happy?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, there are days when it can be tough. But you know what I still try to do?
Yeah.
I keep a smile on my face. even if that means wearing a mask sometimes. But I don't think of it necessarily as wearing a mask when I put a smile on my face all the time, because I'm still in the background, no matter what happens, happy to be alive. No matter what my social circumstances are, I'm happy to be alive. So I still smile nonetheless, even if I were to get cancer.
But then again, you can probably find something not positive about the cancer, but if you survive it, you get some positive life experiences. I mean, it. I know it's cliche, but I mean, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger in some ways. And I actually believe that to be right, to be true. So when we talk about happiness and doing what you want in life, and you have the good experience, I mean, as you mentioned, you try to smile, you try to stay positive, and that goes a long way actually. So, do you do anything in your life like I don't know how you I know you go to college and you're doing a lot regarding your education, but you play the ukulele. Do you go hiking? Do you listen to music? What inspires you or get that smile on your face like you're having right now? People can't see that, but I see you sit there smiling.
Yeah, a couple of things. I do listen to music about the day. I travel a lot, just as much as I can, try to get out and explore new places. And that can be very exciting. But it's also humor that can be motivating, because I try to take my circumstances and put a humorous spin on it. So I make fun of it or make a joke out of it. Keeps my smile on my face, and hopefully Daniel's got a smile. I know you all can't see that, but he's smiling too. But to use humor in spite of everything to kind of keep that happiness alive and to keep it fun, you know?
Yeah, I mean, humor is like the best kind of medicine that exists. I mean, if you're laughing, you're feeling good.
Oh yeah.
And when you're laughing, when you are having a good day, or you're telling jokes, or you just do some crazy stupid stuff just to put a smile on your own face, and it also spreads to other people around you when they hear you laugh. And I often hear that, oh, you're always so positive, or you're always smiling so much. How come? I mean, why shouldn't I? I'm alive. I'm right here. I'm
That's
good
right.
looking. I'm one good looking son of a bitch. I mean, why shouldn't I be happy?
That's right. But I think a lot of people don't have that smile on their face all the time, because they don't have the experiences that we've gone through, so they don't necessarily realize the fragility of life and how special it is to just be alive, because again, we know people who aren't able to be alive right now, and we know people who are probably on their deathbeds, and it's tough. It puts things into perspective, but it also that motivates us to keep being happy and to live for them and in honor of those who have passed. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and I'm totally in line with that. I mean, we don't spend our time at least trying to do positive, being happy. I mean, what's the purpose of it? As you just mentioned, and I have to tell you people out there, we're not just talking about, and it's not like when we talk about, we know people who's on their deathbed. It's not just something we say. It's a constant reminder that we have within the Fanconi Anemia community. We lose people every single year. I mean, we can't go like 2, 3 months without losing somebody. And it takes a toll on you. But it also makes some of us appreciate life more. Because even though I go to my checkups and I feel everything is fine, I have heard so many cases, I've known so many people throughout the years who have gone from being okay to dying within 3 or 4 months. I mean, I don't like to think about it, but if that's the case, and I'm not in that situation, if I have just been to a checkup and they tell me everything is fine, oh, you bet I'm gonna celebrate it. I mean,
Yeah,
why not? I can worry about the hot stuff when I get there.
that's right. You celebrate the little things, the little things in life, the freshly grilled bread on your grilled cheese that you get from the restaurants, or the ball playing with your dog,
Mm-hmm.
the special moments that you have with your kids, or the breaths that you take in calm, cool nature, the little things,
Mm-hmm.
they can make the world difference.
I can't remember why I got into that talk, but I talked to some people about Christmas, the big Christmas dinner that most people, at least in the Western world, have normally. I mean, I remember a mother being stressful about the whole day because everything had to be perfect and stuff like that. And when I grew up, I was like, but does it matter? When we're having Christmas now, I try to have as relaxing a day as I can because nobody afterwards remember if the food was perfect. Nobody remember that in 10 years from now. Nobody at all. But they remember when you sat down and you had this good conversation and everybody was laughing. They remember all these small things of happiness. The same goes with all my vacation with my parents when I grew up. I don't remember all the museums because frankly I didn't give a damn when I was a kid. But I do remember us doing some fun stuff together. Putting up a tent at a camping site in Germany and we didn't know how to. It took forever. Somehow I remember that part because it was fun and challenging. So I mean, if these small moments are much more important than doing something that's perfect.
Couldn't agree more. And I've actually done some research in my college, and hope to continue research in memories and why we remember the things that we do.
Hmm.
Little things like you were talking about, the things that make us happy, things that please us, or the things that we cherish, the memories that we cherish. And I'm going to be studying philosophy partly and getting one of my bachelor's degrees in that discipline. One of the areas that I want to actually focus on is kind of the metaphysical side of things, of how are our memories connected to each other? Why do we hold on to certain memories?
Mm-hmm.
How does that link to the greater consciousness, if you will, of humanity, and how we're all connected with one another, and what that means in terms of what makes us happy and what kind of memories maybe we should be making in order to make us happy.
Oh, that's a really interesting project and topics. I mean, I love that you're starting that part. Actually, now that you're telling me, I was like, that's cool. I mean, I would like to read something about that. I mean, why not? I mean, we need more knowledge regarding it. If we get the knowledge, we can try to do things differently.
That's right.
I enjoy that a lot. I really like that. I mean, you could also use it. You have already made some speeches, public speeches, and you would be able to use that a lot more. Actually, the more knowledge you get, build. You have that, and you have your experience, and you can do a lot of positive things for other people, and maybe teach them how to be more positive, or at least how to recognize how to build up good memories.
Absolutely. Wow, that's very cool. I think about it.
It is, man. It's stuff like this that can make it different for people.
That's right, because I want to go into my master's and PhD programs in philosophy afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and to teach philosophy. And how cool would that be to get to the point where I'm able to teach college students how to live a happy life and to create happy memories. God, that sounds amazing.
That would be awesome. I mean,
And most likely, if I go down that path and all goes according to plan, then I'd be able to do that because in PhD programs typically present your work at conferences and you know, regional, out of state or out of the country, and that would really make an impact.
it really could. So, all these questions I have. What What are your hopes and dreams for your future?
Couple of things. Like I said, to be able to teach philosophy at the college level as a professor,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to travel all over the place as a public speaker,
Mm-hmm.
talking about my story and various aspects of it, and also to start my own company, actually,
Mm-hmm.
to my own kind of philosophical and research in science and technology organization that identifies and implements ways to improve our society. What that looks like, I'm still kind of working it out in my head, but I have no doubt that I'll figure it out. But the bottom line is to be able to make people's lives easier and happier, and to get people to realize that it's these little moments that make a life in a way. Yes, these big decisions matter. Where you go to college, where you end up living, do you get married, do you have kids, all these big decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they matter. But like you were talking about before, the memories that you hold on to the most are not the moments that you make those big decisions. They're the little moments in between and
Mm-hmm.
after. Those are the memories that you hold on to. Those are the memories that you cherish. That creates the life that you remember, not the large decisions that you make. Because even if you were to make a large decision, no matter which way you go, no matter which decision you make, in the background, you can always be happy. You can always be happy. You can always find something to be happy about, like being alive.
Well, that's a good thing to be happy about. Yeah.
Right? No matter what decision you make, do I buy a hot dog? Do I buy a cheeseburger? I would buy the hot dog first of all, but that's, no matter what I choose, I'm happy because I'm alive. And I know that because I'm alive, I'm able to do something with my life. I'm able to do something today to help somebody.
Mm.
You know?
So you've done a lot of good things here. I mean, you're in a place in your life right now where you're doing really well. I mean, you're starting to live out your dreams, and that's gonna be inspiring for some of the younger people who suffer from. It doesn't matter what they suffer from. I mean, just that it is possible. I mean, if you look from the outside, you could have chosen some other. You could have made some other decisions. Feeling bad for yourself and blaming life for not giving you the same opportunities as others. Instead, you've done everything you could to create your own thing, create your own space, your own happiness, your own life, and you succeeded with it. But with someone like you who have Fanconi Anemia, I think about it, and also talk to some of the other people I've having on the podcast. I talk to them about it. If you look upon the people around you, spouses, parents, friends, and all that, how do you think is the right way to approach someone like you and me? I mean, I think it's often difficult for people from the outside. Is it even allowed to mention that you're small? I mean, that you look different? I mean, for a lot of people, it's. I don't believe people are just trying to be being evil or being assholes, but they really don't know, I think, how to confront us or how to be around us.
Well, how do you treat somebody else who you've never met before?
Mm.
You hopefully treat them with respect, because we all live here.
Mm-hmm.
We're all human, no matter who we are, no matter where we come from, and no matter what we look like.
Mm-hmm.
We treat each other, or we should treat each other with respect, and recognize once again that we all come from different places.
Mm.
We all have our own stories, and that's part of what makes us different, part of what makes us special. And it's a mindset, it's an ideology that we got to have, I think, to be able to get to that point.
Mm.
Because if we approach individual people in different ways, that's not treating each other that's not treating each other equally.
Mm.
Right? It's not treating everybody as if we're all in this together, in a way. No, should we have special treatments medically? Sure.
Mm.
But socially, we're all human.
Mm.
We're still in this together.
So you, if I get it right, so you prefer that people just they treat you like they would treat anybody else. I mean,
Exactly. And in some ways, I also want to say, ask questions and find out what their story is, no matter who you are, no matter what we look like. Find out what our story is, and we want to do the same.
mm.
And talk to each other, communicate with each other, and we'll be a step closer to ending all discrimination.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? I mean, it's 2019, and I mean, when I look upon our situation, I mean, it's really not a major thing when you look upon what's going on in the world. So I agree that just in general, be more respectful to other people because you don't know what they've been through. You don't know where they're at. You don't know how their life have been up until now. So, and this really shouldn't be rocket science for anybody. I mean, treat other people right. Treat them like you want to. I mean, I've learned that from my parents since I was a child. I mean, most people have. So why don't people do it? I mean, come on, let's do this together.
I think it's because of social circumstances, of what a lot of us grow up recognizing, all right, there's an A and there's a B. There's this person, there's this person.
Mm.
These three people are different. And it's kind of an institutionalized discrimination that we all grew up with. And it's prohibited us in a way from seeing everybody as equals. Whether you're rich or you're poor, or all these different social hierarchies and situations, it's disconnected us in a way. I think that's why. But once we can get out of that mindset and recognize that we are all human, then we can get to that point on an individual level at least, because that's where it's got to start. It's got to start with the individual. It's got to start with you. And once you recognize that everybody deserves a high level of respect just because we're human, then hopefully we can get to the place where we can better understand each other and have more open dialogue and more communication. That if that can happen on one-to-one levels, imagine what that can do on a global scale.
Oh, yeah. So maybe you already answered the next question. You kind of have with what you just said. But I sometimes ask that question about what would you say to younger people who will go through the same thing you have been through. But I will actually not ask it that way. Because, as you say, we're all equal. We all have each our stories. So instead of, if you're going through hard times, if you're going through difficult times in your life, and you feel you have a lot of challenges, what would your advice be to these people, given the life experience you have?
Smile.
Smile. Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Short and sweet.
Sometimes we don't need to overcomplicate it.
Right.
I don't know if there's something you want to tell people here by the end, something that a message you want to get out, or if there's anything that, anything you would like to.
I think we just about covered most of it, but and to kind of put it all together, life, death, and happiness, I suppose my message would be live the best life that you can so that when you do die, you know that you have lived a happy life.
I love that. I'm going to use that. I love that perspective. Oh, Jack, it has been so wonderful that you wanted to participate in this episode. I can't stress how much I appreciate that. I really admire you, the way you look upon life and what you have done with your life. I think it's a great inspiration, so I really want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. This is the kind of opportunity that I want as many people as possible to have. Those stories.
The possibility to tell your story, actually. Yeah. So, but thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. And I do hope I get to see you in real life soon to one of the Fanconi adult meetings somewhere in the world. I don't know. It's in Chicago next time. So you will be there?
I will be there. You?
I'm not quite sure yet. I try to get, I have a job and, I have my wife and a small kid, and I will be going to the States for 3 weeks vacation, also this summer, for some other reasons, but I would try to get it to fit because I really want to meet you and the rest of the people I know within this community. So hopefully I will be there, and no matter what, thank you, and have a great day, and keep kicking ass. Promise me that.
You know I will.
I know you will.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to tonight's episode of Life, Death, and Happiness. If you like this, please do us a big favor and subscribe to us on iTunes, Overcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to this podcast from. If you also give us a good rating, that will be much appreciated. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and help us spread the word through there. My name is Daniel. I'm signing off. Thank you so much for listening.